Okay.
Making sure this is all stable. Yeah, I'm like leaning my phone on box and stuff.
And now in live.
We're
Hi,
live.
everyone.
We're live. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
How are you guys doing?
Hello, guys.
I'm your host today, and like I'm gonna introduce ourselves. Like I'm Rafael. We're all from Brazil, and I'm Vice Brazilian Beatbox Champion 2019. Here at my right side, we have Wallet, the great female beatboxer. By her side, we have Richard, the owner of Super Beatbox. Down here, we have Kyle. Like Kyle is a great beatboxer, and our guest today is Yas Son. Welcome, Yas.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to show up and be part of it.
It's my honor, my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me on. Yeah, it was a big surprise for me seeing your show last time with BMG. It was awesome. Yeah, I really enjoyed. So yeah, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, we thank you, man. Thank you for being shown up. I'm gonna explain to you like the format. We have like two sessions, and in each session, each of us will ask some questions to you. All right?
Okay. Yeah, sounds great.
Okay, so I'll lead to Wallet. Will guide everyone. So I guess she will ask the first question. Okay.
Okay. Cool.
Actually, first of all, could you like tell us a little bit about yourself, like to everyone who's watching us?
Okay. Yeah. So my name's Yas Son. I.
Ooh.
Oh.
Yeah, we're back.
Hanging on out. You guys still see me, hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I can't see you, but that's fine. Right. I've been part of the UK Beatbox scene for around 20 years, coming up this August. Been part of the battle scene. I've taught for about 15 years of my sort of career. Been part of many different bands and outfits, including the Beatbox Collective most recently, which I'm not part of anymore, but yeah, was part of. I kind of left for a long period of time. About 6 years, and since coming back, I've been helping out with Swissbeatbox and with the Beatbox Camp, Grand Beatbox Battle. I was helping with the World Champs with Bilal, and also UK Beatbox Champs as well. Been helping out with. So that's like a little bit of a sort of super speedy rundown. Probably a lot more I could say, but.
Perfect.
Nice.
And
So now Richard is going to like put the questions up here.
yes,
and
we have
then like
any question. The first question about the Cairo.
Hey, Yas Son, let me ask you something. I want to know, when you talk with me, I think yesterday, you talk about some projects you have in mind, like for the moment we are living now. So you wanna talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, I would love to mention it. So I can't go into like a lot of detail, but I can kind of like give you the sort of like scope that I've got in my mind. So obviously, since Italy was locked down, it sparked a thought in my head that everything we're doing out in public, all the live events, well, we kind of need to do that online now. I mean, we're coming full circle from a lot of us started online, so it's not too much of a hard thing for us to transition back into, as a lot of people have still kept doing these things online, like Beatbox Talk, for instance. I mean, all of the videos we produce, they all come online. We're all talking online. You know, we're pretty used to it. But the the difference being with this is to try and encapsulate kind of like all the different entities that are doing things around the world in terms of beatboxing, and trying to bring them all under one kind of like banner for a specific event throughout the year. So my initial idea is to do some sort of mini events leading up to a bigger event. I'm being a little bit elusive because I don't want to sort of give away every detail, but you can kind of like grasp like, you know, a lot from that, I think. And I think, yeah, we have to adapt right now. We have to think of ways in terms of technology, in terms of advancing software. Like, I mean, what we're doing right now is really cool. We have this like podcast style and we can all be on the screen at the same time. But it's like, how do you approach, say, a group like Berry Wham? How do you approach them doing a show when they're all in separate places with zero latency and maximum quality across the board? I don't particularly know if there's software that exists, but this is another area that we can probably evolve these types of software because of what we need to do, and because we need to keep earning money and we need a platform. We could probably like lead the way for a lot of entertainment sectors. So that's like a basis of where I'm at. Cool.
Nice, Yas Son.
Nice.
Yeah, it's good to hear that.
The other question.
Okay. Oh, Richard, just let me ask you something like, where's the name? Yeah. That's what is
The name doesn't show up when we are like with a question on the screen, you know?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just when you like with the question.
Okay, who is the next one to ask the question?
Next question.
I think it's mine. So yeah, the next question I have to you, Yas Son, like, are there any chances for GBB be canceled because of the pandemic reasons?
I mean, as far as Grand Beatbox Battle and Swiss Beatbox concerned, in terms of announcements, it's still planned to happen in August, and it's still postponed at the moment. But I mean, regardless of what Swiss Beatbox have planned and everything, if we're looking at the world entirely and the advice we're being given, it's probably a good idea. Now, this is just coming from me. This is no official announcement. You know, this is just my opinion, that we're going to have 12 more months of social distancing, you know, and what that means, whether I can't leave my country, whether it means that you guys can't leave your country, it depends what our governments decide. So I can't answer it directly because, one, I don't have the authority. Two, there aren't any announcements, and when there are, you'll all hear about it. But from my opinion, yeah, I think it's not looking too good in terms of the world events. It's just not. It's not looking great across the board. But again, you know what I was talking about previously in the previous question. We can adapt. You know, there's no need to panic. There's no need to sort of like worry too much, because we can adapt, and we have the ability more than anyone to adapt our communities online, because they already are. So
That was what I was thinking about, like, for being like GBB online on Discord, and I can see that because in Europe a lot of music festivals, big music festivals, are being canceled. So
yeah,
like, it's of course you're saying it's a personal reason for you. So yeah, I can see that.
yeah. I mean, like, when we have more information, like, everyone will be first to know about it. But obviously, like, any decisions to take like that have to be taken with a lot of consideration, you know, because it means a lot to all of us. So if we can make it happen, it's going to happen, you know, but
Mm-hmm.
we have to abide by what the leaders of all our countries say. Otherwise,
Mm-hmm.
we'll all be like arrested, maybe together.
Yeah.
That's joke.
Yeah. Yes. All right, Warren.
Before we go to the next question, can I just add something that is like in this same subject? But I wanted to know, like, is there any plans for also SBX camp? Because it was supposed to be in August too. And I don't know, what would you guys do with that? Like, how would you do that online?
I mean, the current plan standing from announcements is that it will be GBB, and then it will be Swiss Beatbox Camp. So, you know, when you come to GBB and you're coming to Swiss Beatbox Camp, you'll be able to go from one to the other. And there'll be like a few days or something between for all the staff to like have a little bit of a rest and then set up for the next one. So that's the current plan. But yeah, just kind of like keep watching Swiss Beatbox, the group, and watch for the announcements. And yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Cool.
All right. The question our audience sent to you. Then, how do you explain the fast recent growth of beatbox, and also talk a little about a general perception of people on beatboxing?
How do I explain the fast recent growth of beatbox? Wow. I mean, any kind of growth is kind of exponential from technology increasing around the world. That's one thing. And as different countries with a lot of population start to get an upgrade in their technology and are able to kind of enter into these kind of like Discord servers, and not just that, like maybe that they can actually travel out of their country and come to things like GB or different national championships. I would say that possibly like the continued growth of Swiss Beatbox and Beatbox Talk and how they advertise is probably a good reason why that's happening. And the general perception of people on beatboxing, I mean, it's always been a strange one, you know. It's kind of like who's popular, like in the media. Like we've had, you know, gone through like Justin Timberlake being a beatboxer. He's not a beatboxer, but he's beatboxed, and it's like, oh, that's beatboxing. So then you get, oh, you're doing what Justin Timberlake does. It's like, he's doing what I do, like, but yeah, okay, like, you know. So there's perception from that angle in the general public, and then there's also the perception of people that are really into, say, like their music in general, so they explore, or hip hop, so they might know about beatboxing. And yeah, like I think a lot of the time, like whenever you look at something, anything that involves skill, it's not that easy to understand the technical ability behind something until you kind of like really focus on it and start to understand every single part of what they're doing. It's like a football player, like, you know, you watch someone kicking a ball about, it's like they're just kicking a ball about, they're dancing around it. It's like, oh, you don't really understand like the technical things that go in to make the plays and all these fine control things. And it's the same with beatboxing, fine control, like, you know, all these tiny little like sounds that people are doing that most people might not even hear, but for beatboxers it's like, whoa, what was that, you know? Like, so there's yeah, I would say there's different levels of perception around like beatboxing in terms of how the public approach it. Yeah.
And the similar question sent now, what do you recommend for the growth of the beatboxing in other countries?
I mean, I would just look at other countries and how they've done things themselves. It's always worth trying new things, but in terms of like a skeleton sort of template, I would say that France, England, Canada, and the US, and I think you guys in Brazil have a very strong community, and have set up very strong structures for your own beatboxing community. So I would say look at these countries first. Even try to maybe approach someone that's maybe a leader in the scene or someone that's an organizer and just get their opinion. most people are very, very willing to talk to each other, especially if you want to then plan something in your country yourself. Yeah, reaching out. Swissbeatbox have like sponsored and produced a lot of battles around the world and helped out people, like Werewolf Battle in Indonesia, right? Like, and the production is incredible.
The people, great, you know.
It's amazing, you know.
Amazing.
Like
Yeah. When do you see the video? Whoa, man! The people.
Yeah, the energy, like the quality.
I was watching Ellen in the yesterday video, and oh man, the people. Yeah, it's amazing.
The energy is like next level, like for real. So yeah, I would just say approach like the heads of the game, see what information you can get, and yeah, if you approach it in the right way and you say that you want to organize these things, you'll get a lot of good information out of everybody. Everyone's willing to help.
Oh, perfect. And the next question.
Let Wallet guy this time.
Yes,
Wallet is the one who asks the next question. So
who sent this question? Was someone here, or was the audience?
Yeah, it's mine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
you can say it by then.
Yeah. So how do you picture the future of beatbox events?
Well, it's a good question.
Like after the coronavirus and this pandemic and something like that.
Okay, so I mean, I can't predict the future, but I feel that what we're going through right now isn't going to be a one-off thing. I think that this what we're going through now is going to change everything for our futures forever. And that this is why I say like we need to like be able to adapt, and we need to adapt quickly, because
use Discord, you know.
Say.
And Discord, and they use Discord now.
Exactly. Yeah, like things like Discord, like advancing technologies. So the way I see beatboxing growing is probably a lot online. I would see like a huge resurgence and a lot more people doing streams. I mean, when I have my Instagram open, I'm always seeing people starting their own streams, you know, a lot more than ever before. So I see a lot more online workshops. I see a lot more online events. I'll see a lot more beatboxers with Patreons. And just literally like the whole live entertainment system moving online. And in terms of like other aspects of the future of beatboxing, I mean, the French champs videos aren't out yet, are they? From the last French champs, or have they started coming out yet?
I don't think so. I'm not.
I only mention this because like I was there. And it blew my mind. Like the French scene was always blowing my mind, but like being there live and seeing like some of the new talent, I mean, it's crazy. Like the techniques that are being used, and I mean, Alexinho, we love Alexinho. Like we know he's great. Like, you know, #1, like world champion. But wow, like he did something in this event that the entire beatboxing scene is gonna just like explode over. I don't even know if I want to mention it because I kind of feel like it's a nice like surprise, but trust me, like the whole audience were just stunned. Like everyone was speechless, and it was a really loud crowd. So in terms of like development and stuff, like we're seeing it constantly year after year. Having the platforms to mix together and communicate on this kind of level, that's what increases our evolution rate, you know. Meeting up, it's what we need, but we can't do that right now, so we can do this. And the more we do these kind of things, like have a face-to-face chat and explore ideas and, you know, swap beats and all this kind of stuff, have jams, it's pretty much the same. You know, we need to use our imaginations a bit more and really like put our energy in. We can continue this growth. maybe even faster. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm very curious.
Yeah, I
To
think
see
I
that
think with
opinion
the
here.
internet, it will be like very much faster than it was like in 2007, 2008.
Massively, massively. Yeah, with all the technology, with all the different platforms that we can use on here, like YouNow, YouTube, Instagram, this StreamYard, I really like this. This is really, really cool. Any new technologies that are coming out. And again, like, you know, from us using this, it gives the developers like good data. Be like, oh, now I know what to improve because this is how you're using it. Oh, okay, give me some feedback. Like, what else would you like to be able to do on this? It's like, well, we'd like to be able to jam live. So like literally 2 beatboxers, no latency. Can you do that? You know, these are the kind of things that we can push developers on the internet to kind of give us what we need. And then we give them the content, you know, everyone's happy.
Yes, perfect.
No.
So now we're gonna have another question.
Yes,
I think
guys.
Kyle didn't ask any question. I think
Yeah.
You did ask one.
yeah.
Your question. Say it.
I had one, but I have another one. Yas Son,
Say it.
Okay.
I was going to
Yeah.
ask you something, but I'm going to change it. So, you said on the beginning of the UK Beatbox Championship scene. So you think
Yeah.
that scene, which started underground, still underground?
I would say from all the work that Basics, Hobbit, and Zany and Dan Sue from Lyric Organics, all the organisers of the UK Champs, I would say the work that they've all done like over the years has really pushed it into the public sphere, and we've been selling out like pretty much for the last at least 4, 5, I don't know, like every time I've gone, it's been a sellout event, you know, and it's all just public, you know, and everyone's really into it. Like, you know, they get behind like the different battlers and stuff. And so when we mixed male and female together, we have like a lot of females coming now, and it's great. Like, you know, seeing like a female get to that point, like Kimmy, like she got quite far in the last year's battle, and all the ladies in the audience were all like screaming for her, and it was quite new, you know, because we've never really like had this properly where it's been mixed, and it's like it's powerful. It's so I would say that it's a very powerful entity for the public, and even the community as well, seeing as we don't do like individual battles anymore. Like we have one up north and like south, southeast, blah blah blah. Everything's just in one place now, so everyone traveling across the country, like coming along, all the different like people from the community, it's very powerful, and the public seeing us together, I think it's something very reassuring to know, like, you know, that this kind of exists. And I think people want a part of that, whether or not they actually start beatboxing. I think they just want to be in that energy, in that vibe, and just kind of like feed off like what we're doing. And it's beautiful. Like, yeah, we encourage it so much.
Cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
Any questions, guys?
No, I just got really happy to hear that, because like
we sent
mixed up.
And what's your role and functions in the Swissbeatbox and UK Beatbox?
Okay, so yeah, I'm kind of like a jack of all, or Yas of all trades, I guess. Like, so for Swissbeatbox, I do things like artist registration, artist liaison, which is kind of like running around and finding battlers or judges when they're supposed to be where they're supposed to be, and they're not where they're supposed to be. So I'm running and finding them, and being like, you need to be here, and they're like, but just one moment. And I'm like, no, not one moment, come on. So these kind of things, standing on the guest list and taking people through that I recognize, like being a sort of like face. And it's like quite like, you know, general things. I did like this cleaning the microphone heads on stage. So it was like a really random thing. It was like, oh, we're gonna clean the mic heads, and I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Like, yeah, you're gonna do that. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do that. All right. So I had me and one guy, and we had this little like sort of production line of like, he give me the mic head, like clean the mic head, give them a new mic head, and it's really cool. Like, you know, now you all know that we clean all the mic heads when we do GBB events. Like, we're super, we're on this, man. Like, before Corona, we're already on this. We're so clean. Yeah, for
Yeah, it's like a
that's
hygiene
basically.
thing, right? It's like a
Sorry.
hygiene thing. It's like a hygiene thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
exactly. Because I mean, you guys know, like as beatboxers, like if you share a mic with someone, you might get ill. And man, like all the battles and every single battle I ever entered, I always come back ill. Or like every jam, I'd come back ill. I think it's the same for all of us. So yeah, this had to change like over the years, and you did see a lot of different national battles. Like they have like they're cleaning the mic, they have a little like, you know, wipe or something. Not everyone did it, but you know, yeah. So anyway, I get like a bit distracted by that. So that's kind of like the general thing for Swiss for GBB, and then for the camp, I do similar things. Also work on the merch stall. We kind of share like responsibilities and roles within camp. And specifically, I did like caretaking, which is like looking after like a teenager and just being like a guardian, like guardianship. So just, you know, for like sort of legal reasons, so they can be there. They've got someone to look after them. So I would do that, and doing that again this year. So that's really cool. Yeah, that, and UK Beatbox. Yeah, I mean, again, like very similar, like running around finding people, artist registration. Yeah, I guess you know, I know a lot of people in the scene, so I can sort of be like, oh, yo, how's it going? Like friendly face, you know, like you're like there to register. There's no stress. Like, you know, I'm there on the guest list. It's like, oh, I see you. Yeah, okay, come in. Like, you know, it's no latency, no lag in the event. You got like someone that can process that through quicker with a smiley face.
Yeah.
So that's me.
Yes, and the question about our audience sent here.
What
Wow.
is the
You
essence
talk
of your
about
routine?
a little
What is
about
the essence of a routine?
Okay.
Make it
Yeah, that's a good one.
So, I mean, okay, so yeah, with a routine, you're looking at something that has musical structure. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to have musical structure, just has to have structure, I guess, because you could have a routine that's kind of like based on mime, if you see what I mean. So it could be like a very animated routine, but generally with a routine, you're going to have a start, a middle, and an end. So I guess a routine, in essence, is a basic structure.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah,
It sounds right.
I think it's one of the most important things about starting beatboxing is like knowing how to structure your routines.
I agree. Yeah, definitely. It really sets people apart. You know, if you've got someone that always freestyles, it could be amazing, could be beautiful, like, but after a while, it's kind of like the brain needs a bit of structure. If it's all just so random, it's like you just lose track, and then you're not really hearing all the amazing things anymore. You're just searching for that structure.
Yeah, that's true.
Also, I think for an audience perspective, that's probably super, super important when they're not beatboxers, because we as audience members, when we're listening to anything, if we're listening to like a bunch of random, like, you know, sounds, it could all be really cool, but also the lack of structure will like wear us down. So it's probably super important if you're looking at from a stage perspective.
Good.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah, in the last stream, BMG explained to us how he built his routines, and he said pretty much like this: like he prepared, and he made a build up and a drop, and then breakdown. And I think it's the best way to to show your skills and what you're capable of is doing a routine. So
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's like kind of like the formula approach to structure, and what a lot of beatboxers are learning from each other. And do you know what? It's changed everything. Like young beatboxers growing up now, like they're so like strong, and it's beautiful. It's because of people like BMG, Alem, Reeps, Skiller, all the top guys. Everybody who is getting to that plateau all has very strong structure, and they're all very unique as well. You know, that's a very important point to remember, is that we can copy the way we approach beatboxing in terms of like structure, in terms of like development, but the way we approach our style has to be our own journey. It has to be unique to us, because otherwise we just dilute everything, and then there is nothing special anymore.
yeah, it's like make your own song, right?
Yeah, like I mean, obviously creating like brand new sounds is not so easy, and people might get a bit stuck being like, oh, I need to have my own snare, and I need to like have like something that makes me unique in terms of sounds. It's not necessarily true. You just bring something from your personality, something from your life, something from your environment. You know, we all have different environments, we all have different upbringings, we all have different parents, we all have different history. Take something from there. Don't always focus on that you have to have a different snare. You know, like there's so many things that changes the way our style comes out. And so I think this is something we should focus on more, and listening to music that you never listened to before. Keep exploring, and the journey never ends.
Yeah, that's good advice. Yeah.
Yes.
That's the
And then-
let me tell. That's the best advice I ever heard. Seriously.
Yeah,
Oh, bless you.
yeah, but yeah, like take
The
your own history and put in your own routine. Yeah.
One
the
question
family
about
thing.
work with beatbox. Yes, send here.
Yeah,
How?
how the beatboxing in Europe work beatbox?
As
Um,
leave with you about your work.
so what was the last bit again? Did you say?
And who the beatboxers work and live with about your work in Europe.
How to
So
like work with beatboxing in Europe? Like how do beatboxers do that in Europe? You
so
know?
so how do we earn money in Europe?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
like with beatboxing.
yeah,
Yeah.
with beatboxing.
Okay. I mean, it goes across the board really. In terms of like people from the community, it's pretty standard, you know, probably the same as everywhere else. Like you go and find your gigs, like you promote yourself, like, you know, you've entered battles and you've become a name, you won first. So the public knows about you. So it's like, you know, you follow this trend, or, you know, you're a musician that's trained, and you find beatboxing, and you explore these routes, or you're looping. I think like maybe the only difference is like that a lot of people maybe go into like theatre, like sorry, not a lot, but a few people go into theatre and sort of approach that route. Grace Savage, for instance, like she's created her own theatrical productions, and I think Roby as well. I know there's a beatboxer from France called Aymeric. I probably didn't pronounce that correctly. It's Aymeric, and he does like stuff with contemporary dance, and he's in this world, and he's not actually part of the beatboxing world anymore. So he came into the battles, and then he quickly diverged and went into sort of like contemporary dance and sort of theatrical things. So it's really across the boards, like, you know, like, I mean, Beardy Man, for instance, like he's only really started coming back into the beatboxing world since sort of like he came to the UK Champs once, and we did a little mini convention. He came to GBB and he judged there, but before that, you know, he was like in what's it called, stage school. So he grew up doing stage school, and then found beatboxing, and then worked with a DJ, and sorry, not a DJ. And
Yes.
I'm getting a little bit confused trying to think of like multiple different routes here. Yeah, he did work with the DJ, JFB. That's it, Beardy Man and JFB. And then so everyone has like their own different route. It's really hard to kind of say like this is what we do in Europe and this is how we go about it, because it's either very similar or it's just quite different in little fragments, you know. Bellatrix, she has like her own bands. Obviously like Basics and Hobbit and Zany and Ballsy and Experimental and Bella, or the Beatbox Collective. So you have groups and whatnot. I don't know, was there like more of a specific sort of angle that you wanted me to sort of approach on this?
Nice. I think we lose Kyle, so like his battery just died. So
Oh no.
we have to continue without him. So yeah. Who's the next one?
Yeah.
Warren?
Okay.
Okay.
You want to say something? Sorry.
I think he asked you something. Right?
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to know if there was anything that's specifically about in Europe and how we approach getting work. I mean, I suppose I'm trying to think like in terms of like how we try to run events. We try to get grants and funds. It's not that easy because beatboxing's not recognised as an art form in England. So in other countries in Europe, like France and Belgium, they have a system that supports all artists, all art. So you do a certain amount of work per year and the government give you a wage. And that's like the basics of the system. It's maybe a little bit more complicated than that, but that's like the basics. But Belgium and France, and maybe for other French colonies.
Finland and Sweden, there is
They do similar things. Okay, so yeah, so there's more like countries that probably like do this. England, they don't do this, so it makes it extra hard for us to do anything. We have a few grant systems that we can approach, and I think one of the UK Beatbox champs a couple of years ago managed to access one of these, but it was so hard, like painfully hard. Like for the guys, it was so stressful. But bless them, they like smashed through and they got it, you know. But it's not something that's easy to get. Like you have to prove so much. Like they really like bring it out of you. So if anything, it's hard to be a beatboxer in England. And anyone that's made it. Sorry.
I hope that changes because, like, I think in a lot of countries it's like that, right?
Yeah, God, like we really want it to change. Like, you know, maybe through all of this chaos, like we can get something beautiful out of it. I really, you know, hope so. Like this is what we should probably all have in our minds right now, and not focus on anything else, but just staying positive. Good future's coming. We're going to adapt. Yeah.
Yeah, I think just compliment. I think the loop station category and people who do loops, I think it's more reachable to people like who don't really understand what beatbox is, and I think it's more how can I say, like commercial, you know, like these sort of things, and I think it's more reachable to people who doesn't know what is beatboxing. So
I totally agree. I think like and again, like in terms of creating routines, like you kind of want to like bring the crowd in to beatboxing. You know, you want to do something that they're going to recognize. Just, you know, pick something that you enjoy, because that's very important too, but also pick something that the crowd will know. So like, you know, don't go fully deep into your influences and something that's really rare that they're probably not going to know, but it sounds really cool, you know, because so looping is something that people can get instantly, because it's like all the layers up there, like you can sort of follow it being layered up as well, so it's quite an interactive thing automatically for the audience. And yeah, the sort of like covers and remixes you can do is way easier if you know what you're doing, like than trying to create a beatbox structure on a solo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Nice.
And the question, the last question, Warwick, the last question, Rafael.
What?
Wait, what is like
Where-
my question?
Yes.
My question?
Yeah, I think you didn't ask any question, or did
I asked something, but like it's not showing up.
I
Oh yeah,
don't
I don't see.
show, and there is a lot of question in the banner. I don't find your what your.
Okay.
Okay,
Do
I
you
need to
remember
so
your
just
question?
I
ask
need
it.
to remember what words did I use? Wait, let me think.
Yes.
I think I was asking. Oh yeah, I remember. What aspects do you think they're like more important for beatboxers to have before they actually join beatboxing events? You know?
Okay, like in terms of like actually joining the events and like say like I want to start battling or I want to do a
Yeah.
showcase.
Yeah.
Well, I mean the competition's so fierce these days, right? Like I would say that you need to be at a certain standard at
Okay.
least. You know, like not the best, but you just need to reach a certain standard where you're confident on the microphone. You know how to use it to all of its abilities. You need to know how to control the stage. You need to be confident on stage with your audience. You need to. I think like you need to understand like your communication between the audience too. Yes, this is a really interesting question. I think you definitely need to be unique. Like this is like, and it's quite hard as well because when you say like, oh, you've got to be unique to someone. Again, like going back to the other thing, it's like, oh, but I don't have my own sounds. Like I'm still like, you know, trying to formulate, and the market is so it's not completely flooded, but in certain aspects, like when we were doing live stuff, it is quite flooded. Like in terms of like, say you're an English beatboxer and you want to go and make it in London, there's so many people trying to do it there. You know, that there's not really going to be any work. So for you to survive, you would have to do it on the street, or you would have to be something very special and have your own networks beforehand. You know, it's like you can't just turn up and be like, yo, like, you know, book me. Like maybe it will happen, maybe if you go to the right places, but it's going to be a really rare chance. So I would say like really work on like your unique abilities and get as much stage practice as possible. That means going to open mic nights. Every open mic night you can go to, every time you go, you're going to learn something, and make sure you always push yourself. It doesn't matter if you feel like you failed. It doesn't matter if like the audience don't react. None of this matters. The most important thing is you getting stage experience. And you know what? If you put all of yourself on the table, like your personality and your soul and your heart, the audience will connect with that. They won't hear that maybe you're making mistakes. They'll see that you're putting your soul out, and they'll respond. And like I've never been like the most tightest beatboxer. Like I'm always working on my timing. But trust me, going to open mic nights, the responses I would get sometimes, and I'd be like, wow, I wasn't really that like great, I didn't think. But the audience, because I put myself out there, that's what they were connecting with. That's what people want to see. And in general, that's definitely like what connects us to the public sphere is our heart, you know, and putting that out there. So don't focus so much on like being clinical and like being like the most technical beatboxer, because this is actually like really not important like in terms of like doing shows, but it is important to your development and your understanding of what we do. So it's down here, you know, like you're up here with your uniqueness and your soul, your personality and your history, and your technicalities like here. So this is the way I did it anyway, you know. Maybe someone wants to do it technical and then this first. It's up to you. It's your journey. But this is the way I sort of grade the importance of like how quickly you're going to get out there, you know, and how quickly you're going to start to receive.
With you.
I believe on the Rafael question, it's perfect to the moment. And Rafael, do you remember your question?
Yeah. What do you think is the main role of Swiss beatbox in the beatbox scene?
Um,
My Like to spread the art form, or just to be more available for people to live from beatboxing, and why?
Yeah, I mean, it's creating a platform for people to be able to show themselves, no matter what country you're in, no matter like you. I mean, again, you've got to be like at a certain standard, but it's very across the board in terms of styles. So it's nothing about like having a particular style. Getting on Swissbeatbox, it's just about being unique, being yourself, and having a solid standard, and a solid style to show. The role, I see them like as they continue to be like a standard of beatboxing, and they are like beatbox media. You know, if we were going to sort of like have any sort of like media, like Swissbeatbox is that kind of entity. At the same time, they're providing battles, they're providing events. So these are also platforms that are being provided. I can only see it getting bigger and better and higher, like even higher quality. I don't know how it's possible, but like, you know, like as technology increases, like always on the cusp, always like with new inventive ideas, and encompassing more people, you know, as we grow up and we like move forward. And you know, I've not taken a backseat completely from beatboxing, but I've taken it a little bit to sort of like understand what's going on, and help out where it's necessary. So in terms of that, there will be in the future, there will be a lot more opportunities for people to actually work inside these entities, in terms of everything that's going on right now. The more it grows, the more people will be needed to fulfill different roles. Like in my mind, like we're creating a beatbox society, and I think like in the sort of like upper like heads of the scene, like this is a shared kind of opinion. This is what we want, you know, like our society fails us in our countries, you know, and so we create these communities, not just beatboxing, all kinds of communities are created, you know, for one purpose. And humans are the most strong when they're all following one purpose. You know, this is probably how we got this far as humans in general, to share that common purpose. So I see, you know, an event like we're going to have the security, there'll be beatboxers. We're going to have like the medic like area, there'll be beatboxers. You know, every single role I see in the future will be a beatboxer or someone that knows beatboxing and loves it. So there's never ever going to be a sort of like, oh, are you supposed to be here? You know, there'll be no latency. We all know each other. We all grow and continue to push the scene together. So yeah, that's a bit of an open-ended answer, like, but yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
I guess what you're saying, like pushing beatboxer through like everyone knows what it is, and like for people to enjoy, like singing, for example, right?
Yeah, exactly. You know, and I mean, but it's sort of a bit more than that in terms of the, you know, say like Swissbeatbox camp. Okay, so that's one camp. Like, then what is that going to grow? And then like maybe there's more camps around the world, or maybe someone's like, oh, I want to do a camp as well. You know, and so then there's like another camp, and then that needs stuff. You know, and it's like we don't always have to think to ourselves like to be a beatboxer and to be in the scene, I have to be a battler, like I have to be a performer, like I have to be a teacher. Like you don't have to do any of those things. As we continue to go forward, there's more roles that can be opened up, and that you can just be there at an event. You know, say you're like, you know, a general staff member, you're looking after some things, maybe you're on like the gate checking tickets or something, maybe you're at a merch stall, maybe, you know, artist registration, all these different things like for different events. And the more we have these different events, the more opportunities that we have for all different levels of all different ages of beatboxers to use their skills that they've gained in life, you know, like the education routes that we've taken. All of this knowledge is so important for the creation of our futures, in terms of beatbox events, battles, everything that we're doing. You know, and we take it more and more in, and yeah, we create a solid society of beatboxers that can easily connect, you know, whenever we need to.
Nice.
Nice, very nice.
Yeah.
The other
Said a lot of
the last
beautiful
question,
stuff.
or what do you think? The last question, Wallet and Rafael.
Another one. Do you have
Another
any
one?
questions? Do you have any last question, Warren?
Me? No,
Yeah.
no. I just wanted to say, like, I loved what you said about doing it with your heart, because I think sometimes some beatboxers forget about that. Like, they want to show off so much what they can do that they forget to do it because they love it. Like, it's such a simple thing, but it's like it's the main thing after all, and people tend to forget it. So yeah, I just wanted to like say thank you for saying that because I loved it. Yeah.
Honestly, like, and seeing everyone like now, like in the beatboxing scene, like really pushing themselves and really like pushing their personalities. Everyone's shining so much. It's so beautiful, you know, and you still have a little bit of like fan culture in the very younger years, and it's still beautiful. It's nice, like, to see everyone sort of supporting each other, but there has to be that knowledge of when you cut that off. It's like, okay, now I don't need a parent to feed me. Now I don't need that sort of like, you know, nurture. I can do it on my own. I understand it, and then you move away and you follow your own path. And I think as beatboxers, we always need to say this whenever we have an opportunity to the younger generations, because we're the ones that they're looking at, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome. Really, thank you for saying those.
Oh, perfect.
It's cool.
Thank you your time and your words. And Rafael, the last words.
I would like to say, like, oh, of course, thanks so much for the opportunity to answer our questions, and I would like to ask you something. Like, could you beatbox for us? Like, I'm trying to do like this thing, you know, like in the and when the live stream is ending, like I'm trying to ask the people like.
I actually, yeah, I sort of planned. I have.
Okay. You were saying yes.
Yeah, I was saying I kind of like semi-planned for maybe doing something, so I've got my instruments and that like down here. So, like,
cool. We wait.
Muito bem, muito bem. The last word. Amazing.
Oh, nice.
So,
yo, so cool.
As I say, like, I've been taking a little bit of a backseat from beatboxing, but actually I've been trying to practice a little bit more with my instruments again. It's been like quite a while, so like bear with me, and hopefully it sounds right over the phone.
What is this instrument?
So this is these are pan pipes, but I think I can't remember the actual name. What there's a name in Brazil for these,
pan
no?
Flute? It's like pan flute, something like that.
So the flute is like one like layer, like it's just like one layer, and it's like they're like thin, but these ones, if you can see, is like. So these are the pan pipes, and then the flute is like a sort of like half of this, like it's more like a flute. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
But so yeah, I'll just do like a little freestyle.
Okay.
Okay.
Take your time.
See, this is freestyle, like compared to having a routine and a structure. It's like very different. You want me to do one more quickly, or?
Yeah, of course.
All right, we try it. Okay.
Nice, very nice. What is that? It's like a didgeridoo? It's like
That's This is like a special didgeridoo. So you can see it's like quite short. And I have a full size one upstairs, but obviously you can hear like it's quite a low like pitch. So like hang a minute, it's kind of like a bit wet inside, but we're all beatboxers. So anyway, like I don't know if you can see like inside, it's like there's a block in there. So it goes like sort of like down like this. Like inside, and it's like put together like bang like that. So it's got this kind of like all the way down, like so it makes the sound go it takes longer for the sound to get down there because the way it's built inside. So it's like a performance didgeridoo. So for instance, if I had a microphone in my hand, I could be like this with the mic at the bottom with one hand, and then I can be like this.
Oh my god!
You know, so you can switch like it's like hang on. Need to practice this.
Oh my god, it seems hard.
Yeah. I need practice.
Yeah, nice.
I do not stick to interviews for the moment.
It seems hard to do.
It like when I was doing it all the time, like I had a routine, but now because I am out of practice, I am freestyling. So my brain is getting confused. Like, but I will practice this. I will practice this because it's very important to have routines.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
think that's it, right, Richard?
Yes, the time is the finish the live stream like in 16 minutes, and now
Okay.
the finish.
Okay. It's the end of the stream. So again, thank you very much, Yas Son, for being part of it and for being our guest.
Thank you so much. Like, big up Super Beatbox, big up Brazil, like, big up your scene, big up your culture. Hopefully we all get to meet each other in person again someday. But until then, let's keep doing this stuff. Like, just keep pushing it. Like, bless you all. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for coming to talk with us.
Thank you. Amazing. Big hug, bros.
Yeah, and that's it. So yeah.
Big up.
Bye.
Bye.